What happens when a judge's gavel silences the room but not the truth? What if standing for justice means standing alone? Would you risk everything, even by jail, to expose a lie? Pam Bondi did, and this is how it began. The federal courtroom buzzed with tension. Cameras clicked, pens scratched. Every eye was trained on the woman at the defense table. Pamela Bondi, former Attorney General of Florida, renowned for her fearless litigation style, now facing an unexpected personal reckoning. Judge Evelyn Harland, known throughout the legal world for her rigid discipline and intolerance for grandstanding, presided over the bench. Her courtroom was usually a domain of order, but today the atmosphere bordered on volatile. The case in question involved a senior government official accused of obstruction of justice. Bondi was his defense attorney. She had spent months preparing for this trial, only to uncover something that would shake the entire foundation of the prosecution's narrative. But Judge Harlan wasn't interested in conspiracy theories. She had warned Bondi twice to curb her political tone. When Bondi suggested key documents had been withheld from the defense, Harlan's irritation boiled over. "Miss Bondi," she snapped, her voice like a blade, "you're on the verge of contempt." "With respect, Your Honor," Bondi replied firmly, "this is about due process. If the court would examine the evidence—" "No more warnings," Harlan barked. "You are in contempt of court. Marshals, take her into custody." Gasps erupted. 2 U.S. Marshals moved toward Bondi, but Bondi didn't flinch. She calmly raised a hand. "Before you act, Your Honor, please, look at these." Her assistant, visibly shaking, placed a sealed folder on the bench. Inside was the culmination of a sleepless week. Whistleblower emails, sealed internal memos, evidence audits, and authentication records. If she was bluffing, her career would be over. If she wasn't, the court was about to be flipped on its head. Judge Harlan hesitated. Her eyes scanned the room. Suspicion flickered, then curiosity. With a sigh, she opened the folder. A silence deeper than any gavel strike descended. For 10 full minutes, Harlan read. The tension thickened. Bondi stood her ground. The marshals lingered, frozen, unsure. Each page turned like a drumbeat. Harlan's brow furrowed. Her lips tightened. A flicker of doubt crossed her eyes. The courtroom, once filled with tension, now swelled with something else. Uncertainty, dread, the sense that truth, long buried, was clawing its way out. Before we reveal what was inside that folder, ask yourself, what defines courage in a courtroom? Compliance, silence, or the willingness to speak, even when silenced? Stay with us. The tide is turning, and justice is about to take a detour you'll never forget. What if the truth you were told was carefully edited? What if justice had been filtered, redacted, and hidden by those who swore to uphold it? Pam Bondi dared to ask, and forced a nation to look. The sound of shuffling paper dominated the room. Judge Harlan's eyes, once sharp with accusation, now scanned the documents with growing alarm. What she saw wasn't just troubling, it was damning. Emails between DOJ prosecutors showed deliberate withholding of evidence. Internal memos labeled exculpatory material as non-essential. One line read, "Too risky for discovery. Recommend internal classification." Another, "If we let Hammond's statement surface, defense will tear us apart." Judge Harlan's hand trembled slightly. She cleared her throat. "Miss Bondi," she said more cautiously now, "these documents, how did you obtain them?" "An anonymous whistleblower," Bondi said, "verified with metadata, secure internal tags, and witness statement timestamps. We received them last night." Lead prosecutor Daniel Voss stood abruptly. "Your Honor, these are unverified. This is an ambush. We demand the court strike these." Harlan slammed her gavel. "You'll speak when allowed, Mr. Voss." Her eyes didn't leave the paper. "This email, sent from your DOJ account, states, 'Suppress Hammond, a line testimony. Defense must never see this.'" Gasps, audible horror. A junior prosecutor turned ghost white. "And here," she continued, "you acknowledge the existence of surveillance footage that contradicts your opening statements, and you chose not to disclose it." Voss stammered, "Context, legal relevance." "Brady v. Maryland," Harlan shot back. "Ever heard of it?" Bondi remained quiet. She didn't need to say anything. The evidence spoke for her. By now, the entire room had shifted. Harland, once her fiercest critic, was now a reluctant ally against a greater wrong. Bondi turned to the press seated behind her. The flash of camera bulbs returned. The headline was writing itself. Bondi uncovers DOJ corruption live in court. So we ask again, would you risk jail to reveal the truth? Would you fight when the system says stop? Courage, proof, truth. Pam Bondi brought all three and cracked open the very walls of justice. Stay tuned. The final verdict is coming, and it's not just for the accused. Have you ever witnessed an institution humble itself? A judge retract her ruling? A courtroom reverse direction like a storm changing course? It happened, and it was Pam Bondi who forced the reckoning. 30 minutes later, Judge Harland returned. Her face, usually composed, now betrayed fatigue and something else. Resolve. This court erred, she began. Miss Bondi, I rescind the contempt order and extend a formal apology. You fulfilled your role honorably. This bench failed to meet yours. Bondi nodded, dignified, calm. Harland wasn't done. Therefore, I am taking the following actions. She raised her pen. 1. The charges against the defendant are dismissed, with prejudice. Bondi's client exhaled for the first time in hours. 2. The conduct of Mr. Voss and his team will be referred for federal investigation. Any breach of prosecutorial duty must be examined. Voss sat slumped, pale. 3. A review of every case under this team's purview in the last 5 years will begin immediately. 4. Harland paused, looking directly at the court gallery. I am self-reporting to the Judicial Conduct Committee. This court must hold itself to the same standard it demands of others. The courtroom was silent, not with indifference but awe. Bondi stepped forward. Your Honor, you corrected course. That matters. Few have the courage to do that. Harland replied, the justice system is not measured by perfection, but by its willingness to confront imperfection. Outside, news vans lined the streets. Hashtags trended globally. At Bondi vs. DOJ, #justice served, #system awakened. Within 24 hours, the DOJ reassigned Voss. Investigations began. Law schools added the Bondi case to ethics curriculums. Senators cited it during judiciary reform debates. Americans for once saw accountability not as a myth, but as a moment. 1 year later, Bondi and Harland shared a stage. The conference was called Adversaries in Court, Allies in Truth. Their message was simple. When lawyers fight for justice and judges listen with humility, the system doesn't break. It bends and then heals. What do you believe defines justice? Order? Obedience? Or the relentless pursuit of truth? Pam Bondi didn't just win a case. She made the system blink. And maybe, just maybe, that's what real justice looks like. Subscribe, share, and comment below. If it were you in that courtroom, what would you have done?